Time does heal only if you do healing.
Good evening, Australia. I'm Michael KUZILNY. Tough times never last, but tough people do. We've been doing this show for so many years, and I always find that in life, we're either in a storm, we've either come out of a storm, or we're just about to go into one. I've been through my own personal challenges over the last 18 months, and as you know, I'm also a criminal defence lawyer helping people through the tough times, but no one's immune. I was saying to our next guest that we all get our turn, and we shouldn't be afraid to reach out, and because there's so many people who wear their social masks and how are you, I'm great and this, but I think if COVID has done anything, my beautiful friends, it's for people to be more authentic. On the couch tonight, a lovely lady, Sharon Tyle. She's been on her spiritual path helping others since I think 1991, Sharon.
It's true, yes indeed.
You know, and I can't even pronounce some of the great things you've done, but you're a master at meditation, you're a teacher, you're a Reiki teacher, and a kindly...
Kinesiologist. This is always the word that gets people. Kinesiology is based on Chinese medicine and chiropractic, so it's a modality that has been brought together.
You're a beautiful soul, and I noticed that when you walked on the door, and I'm so glad great Chelsea found you, who's another beautiful spiritual being, but... who is Sharon Tyle?
Where do we begin?
I'm
a mother, a daughter.
Where did it begin?
Where did it begin?
Where did the journey begin?
Long in the 70s. Well, are we talking soul-wise or body-wise? Because soul-wise it will even be even further.
I like a journey from Frankston to maybe Melbourne, the journey. It began in overseas, yeah?
It started in Israel. I was born in Israel, born and raised in Israel in 1970.
Yes.
And had my life going not so much in the normal way, yet when you live in Israel there is a lot of challenges there. So there's beautiful things like the beach, like the food and the spirituality that is on every stone there with the history of life. However, we did have at least a history of wars. And 1973, for example, my father went to war, and things were a bit unsafe, especially for a 3-year-old.
And Mum and Dad still alive? Sure.
My mum passed 5 years ago. My dad is alive and kicking in his early 90s, and he's still a very strong person.
And then I heard or read somewhere there was you got sexually interfered with, which was a turning point.
Yes, it was. So basically from the age of 4 till 14, I was groomed, molested, and physically assaulted by a family relative, and I had to keep it quiet. I had to have a whole internal world because that person threatened that...
And sorry to interrupt, but a lot of viewers would there's so many people in the same situation, and they feel guilty, and they still go to school thinking they're a little bit different, but how did you deal with that?
Well, I became basically I had 2 worlds.
Yeah.
One world was the hidden one, and then there was the external one, the beautiful mask that nobody knows anything. Yet, actually I love reading as well. So I went into the book world.
Yes.
Very social and a sport person. Because when we activate the fight, flight and freeze, you either fight it, you either go into depression, or you go into that little fetus position, which I wasn't. So I became a sport person. I played volleyball, then basketball,
amazing,
school champion.
But there's so much more to you, sweetheart. It's such a short interview. So then you got interfered with. It was a terrible time, but it set you up for a different path.
For sure.
So what are you now for our viewers? Because they're still wondering.
Well, I'm a qualified kinesiologist, Reiki master, I'm a counselor, I am a marriage celebrant, I've been in my clinic for 20 years in Melbourne.
And viewers, isn't that amazing? I'm in Brighton here, and I'm going through my own personal sort of dramas, and I'm not afraid to hide that at any time, you know. I've even taken down my Facebook and all social media, because I really believe there's only 86,400 seconds per day. And, you know, the people I'm supposed to meet or talk to, I'll meet, and I love that physical contact. So love and best wishes to everybody who's going through some difficult times at the moment. But I think we all get our turn to go through those. And so many people are not authentic. They're always pretending everything's okay. But I think the most beautiful people I like who are real, who are authentic, they're suffering, they share it, you know. There's all the bullshit people I'm not interested in, you know, the ones who just say, oh, everything's great, you know, how's Christmas, you know. I haven't got time for that nonsense. I really
100%.
don't. But when you walked in the door, I thought, wow, you know, this. And then I read the book.
Continue.
This book, people, Sharon Tal, and, you know, straight away I know people like this beautiful lady. They don't do it for the ego. They don't do it for the money. They do it for the purpose of helping other brothers and sisters to go through the difficult times, sweetheart, yeah?
The numbers are really horrible. The numbers of any form of assault and abuse, especially in Australia. So under 18, there'll be 1 of 3 women who has been assaulted or abused in one form or another.
Yes.
And for men, it's 1 of 5 under 18 that had some form of
and God
abuse
bless
and
all
stress.
those people. But back to you.
Yes.
You came to Australia since what age?
Well, first time I came, it's 18, just a trip before the army. So in
Gorgeous.
Israel, you go to the army. So I
Oh,
was.
would you believe this? Sharon was in the army.
2 years.
And I was in the police force. I was a terrible shot, never shot anybody. But how long in the army?
2 years.
As
a sergeant, as a youth leader, and I was already
amazing.
starting.
You don't know a bloke called
leadership there.
Avner Klein, do you? Avner Klein? No, I think he was in the army there as well. I'll have to ask him. And you've got a beautiful daughter.
I have my beautiful Elia. She's 19-year-old.
Gorgeous.
And
And what's
she's now studying. She's doing double degree in nursing and business admin.
And did she always say to you, oh, Mum, all this spiritual stuff? You know how
Well, she was born a Reiki master because when I was pregnant, I was actually attuning her and I was attuned for another Reiki. So
she'd be a beautiful soul. Like, we might just have a break and talk about how people can heal themselves because
absolutely, it's about empowering people. It's not.
That's right, folks. We'll be back very shortly. Don't go away. Sharon Tal, spiritual master, beautiful person on the couch, tough times never last. Wherever you are around Australia and the world, love and best wishes. I know a lot of people go through difficult times, and we forget there was people going through difficult times beforehand, but we've had this 2-year stress pandemic. I've certainly felt it. I haven't had a break, but no self-pity parties from me. I wake up and I'm happy to be alive. But, people like Sharon can give me some great advice, because sometimes we forget that there is advice out there. If you've been checking my social media, the YouTube stuff is there, but I've cancelled everything else. Not as an insult. I had an email the other day. Why did you block me? Did I do something wrong? I've had a few of those. No, I love you, but I think it's a bit of time for self-care, self-healing, and because a lot of people have, even now that we're sort of back into it, we're not quite back into it. The stress levels are still high.
100%. No, it's the post-stress.
I even read that for the 15-year-old age group, the suicide hotline skyrocketed. I mean,
correct.
For someone, darling, to pick up the phone, we already know how to say, hey, I might take my life. That takes a lot, doesn't it?
100%. More than that. It's super challenging to live at the moment. Some of my clients are in that age bracket, and the level of paranoia, phobias, and stress is beyond. The lack of social interaction. I'll be conducting a wedding soon, tomorrow.
Yes.
And the baby is 1-year-old, right? It's a pandemic baby. And he actually hasn't seen his grandparents without a mask. So the facial recognition is with a mask.
Yes.
So he doesn't even know who they are without it. It's like in the olden days when the father had a big beard and then they shaved it.
Yeah.
And the child says, who are you? This is what's happening now. However, they can actually connect to the soul much faster because the access to the soul is through the eyes.
Sharon, we're keeping this very organic, but I congratulate the people who stayed together during the last 2 years because I don't know whether people are designed to spend their entire lives together, but If you got the right person, definitely, it's beautiful. Love is beautiful.
It is make or break.
It is beautiful. But I was reading, 50,000 people have filed for divorce, I think, in Victoria, or might have been Australia. But there's a lot, and then there's the other people who weren't divorced. But a lot of people, even though all these external things have happened, have decided, hey, you're not the person I want to be with. I'm one of those people who has gone down the path, and for whatever reasons, it's not, oh, he did this, and I'm certainly not into that. It's everyone's beautiful, but it's a difficult time when all this is going on, and when you're going through that as well.
It's a pressure cooker.
And you say, oh, there's lessons to be learned. I know there's lessons to be learned, and a lot of people out there who are going through this feel insecure, and I think the worst thing you can do is get onto those sites where people are looking for love, because I just know they just don't work. I've had a look who's out there, but don't want to go there, don't want to do the swiping, just want to heal. How do we cut the cord?
In many ways. You have to see, first of all, what is the reason for the cut. If you are escaping from a relationship and you're just cutting, you won't learn much of the lesson of the relationship, and then you'll just move and repeat.
Yes.
So people can cut. Remember how I said before, fight, flight,
yes,
freeze. This is the flight. It's like, thank you, goodbye, ciao.
Yes.
What it is, and I mentioned it before, people almost need to have a certificate of tick from a therapist to go and do a relationship. Because if you're going to be again codependent, if you're going to do again projection of your old
I reckon they
exes.
should have a certificate from you, but also a certificate from the last 3 boyfriends or girlfriends.
Yes.
Although they wouldn't be too...
My late mum used to say, don't listen to what he says. Go and ask his ex what was the real reason.
But do you think sometimes they might be a bit biased?
Depends. Depends how long. What it is, there's always, there's expression in Judaism. There is one Torah, but 70 truth to it.
Yes.
There is one truth, but then each one have their own opinion.
I totally agree. And folks, I've been around the criminal justice system for many years, and I don't do family law, but I do domestic violence intervention orders. It seems like the whole world is bluing at the moment, There's a civil war going on in all of us, and unfortunately we're taking that on other people. But I see so many intervention orders. It's sad. I go to the courts and I see the people lining up, the victims. It's mostly ladies with bruised eyes and stuff. You still get a handful of blokes who have been victimised, but the courts don't believe that's possible. So there's there's lots of men's behaviour programs, but no women's behaviour programs. So the law, unfortunately, is set up to not acknowledge that. But there are male victims, and it. Some.
Victims are victims. Victims are victims.
But that's what I used to say to the magistrates, because they're not interested in all this sort of stuff. They've got their own stuff going on. They've got their own dramas. So I always say, look, there's one story and there's another story, and the truth is somewhere in the middle, but my client is remorseful. He's getting some help, But you're right, the stories of it all.
Original question that you said.
People saying, we like this girl, yeah, we know you, Michael, but we've just gone through all these things. We're suffering, we're drinking, we're drugging, what do we do?
We're doing shopping, we're gambling.
What do we do? We're masturbating, we're doing the sex things, we're swiping. What
100%.
do we do?
You find your core again, you find your heart, you find your soul. Because a lot of people can't be bothered to do any of those self-work.
A lot of their viewers don't even know they've got a soul.
Well, they have eyes, then they have a soul. Because they can look at it. If they'll spend maybe a minute, 30 seconds, maybe 5 seconds even, looking in their eyes in the mirror and say to it, I love you, to the reflection.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But that is so hard for so many people.
I find it very
Actually, write it in my book. I said it to a hairdresser who the whole day looking at a mirror. And I said, can you please say I love you? And I brought her the mirror. And she couldn't.
That's great. We might have a quick break, but viewers, just go to the mirror while we're having a break and just say to yourself, I love you. And I do love you, boys. We'll be back very shortly. Tough times never last. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Michael KUZILNY, and amazing. I love you all, love and best wishes. Just remember, whatever you're going through, quite often there's nothing to fix. We just go through it. And I always think about the Buddhism of impermanence. You know, all the good things never last and all the bad things can't last either. And I tell myself that a lot, although for myself I don't think it applies. And I also think that life comes with 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows, and that we can't escape. But this lovely lady said, smile, you know.
Well, unless you're a hyena, the smile will actually deactivate your adrenals
But
and
can
your
you
fight
smile if
flight
you're going
risk.
through a heartbreak?
Well, you have
You
to.
wanna-
Well, it doesn't matter, because it's like even if you're activated for a few seconds, it will change the muscles. You see, your lips are going up, and it tells the brain that you can solve it. What happened is in the fight, flight, freeze,
Yeah.
your corpus callosum, which is a part that connects both sides of the brain, the left and right brain, shuts down. And then we are working from the reptilian brain. And you know how sometimes when we're in stress, I can't think. This is what's happening. You can't think. You're moving into the reptilian brain. You're in the fight, flight, freeze. If a bear or a tiger, it's as ancient as that, is coming to you, you don't have time to think. You are moving, you're running.
I love this lady.
There is a wave of warmth that comes,
Yeah.
a heat wave to warm your muscle and help you run. That's why the calf muscles are usually very tight for people who has adrenals. So if you're in the fight, it will be the upper body because you'll be ready to fight. If it will be in the flight, in the running, it will be your lower part of the body. The muscle will just warm.
But the viewers
and
are
you
still
run.
thinking, I can feel that we're still suffering. And I know there's people going
Breathe.
through so many different issues.
Tell them to call me
You know,
or to
and
breathe.
and it's not just COVID people, you know, the world's a very uncertain place, but it's not just COVID, but there's people out there who've got children and at the children's hospital who are dying and they've quit their jobs and they've been sitting there outside the hospital before COVID, you know, and they've given up their jobs and they're broke and their kids are dying of cancer. And I've been to the hospital and there's people out there waiting for life-threatening surgeries for over 2 years who can't afford private, and you know, there's people out there who are suicidal and lonely, and so just show love now that we can see each other. I think love's the most important thing. I always think on my deathbed, it doesn't matter the fame, all that rubbish, and, you know, who have we loved and who came into our lives who loved us?
100%.
Yeah, and there's not many, because love is something.
Well, it's about love and fear. Those are the
Yeah.
two only frequencies. Are
Yeah.
you in the love vibration or frequency, or are you in the fear vibration or frequency? And our aim is to lift the love. So that will be spread all over the world. Currently, I feel that we're like an episode or part of the Lord of the Rings or movie, and it's like everything is trying to put us down. The dark vibration, the fear, the stress is doing a great job. They're spreading everywhere.
Sharon Tal, can you tell our viewers how we can increase that? You know, we've got to be a source of joy, especially for all the
Think
young
of
people.
one thing that you love. If it's your pet, if it's your partner, if it's your lover, if it's kids, think about their parents. Do they love their parents? One
We
thing
can't
that
tell
you
the people
love,
going through a breakup about their lover.
not necessarily the lover, someone that they love.
Oh,
One thing that they loved in their life, even if it's a beach in the
Like
world.
mother.
Pardon?
like your mother.
Like your mother, like your father. Sometimes it's not the parents. Sometimes it can be a place in nature that you just blissful place where you can sit there and you can just allow a piece of quiet
Are we
in your
gonna be okay?
heart. Of course that we are.
Am I going to be okay?
You are okay. You just need to remind yourself how much you're okay. And you need to,
Our viewers going to be okay?
they have an option to go through the love or to go through the fear. If you're going through catastrophe, then it will be even more
Does time heal?
chaotic.
Does time heal?
Time does heal only if you do healing. Time can numb it. Time can weaken it. Yet, if you're not doing anything in relation to it, like cutting the cord, like replacing it with reminding yourself how amazing you are, and that too shall pass, as you said, that too shall pass. Everything will pass. What happened yesterday is history. What will be tomorrow is mystery.
Also, don't think too much about the past. The past
No,
is
live
history.
at the present.
The future's a mystery and today's a gift. I read
Present,
that somewhere.
correct.
Wow, right
So-
there.
So we are here, right now. Whatever you do,
Yeah.
it's right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
They hurt you yesterday. Do they hurt you today? No. It's the memory that hurt you
Wow.
today.
This
Are they
is
going to hurt you
amazing.
tomorrow? No, you're not going to talk to them.
God
so
bless
they
you,
won't.
darling. And how can people find you, sweetheart? You know, like,
Go
wow.
to the soulalchemist.com.au.
The soul.
alchemist.com.au.
And
I have a YouTube channel. I'm happy. I do so many free talks on my Insta. And
Sharon Tal, Tal, Tango Alpha Lima, and the Soul Alchemist has got a website, and what's that, darling?
thesoulalchemist.com.au.
You might be too busy to take on people like
I
me
will
and our
never be
viewers.
busy to help anyone who needs me.
And that's another whole subject, isn't it? Are you busy? That's that word busy. That's
Who wants to be busy? I want to be doing what I love to do.
So what's the great lady? What are your plans for the next 5 years?
To finish the 3 books that I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
And to create more, spread the love. Like I've created my empowerment cards. I have a full range of products.
Oh.
So that
They're
is
yours,
from Survive to
74
Thrive.
cards and oh my God, look at this. Oh God, she's come for an interview. I'm going to buy all her products. This is amazing. And you get 10 steak nights for free. This is good.
Well,
She's come for an interview and this is a healing session.
that's
Your
what life is
beautiful soul.
about. Because as soon as we have soul connection, we have soul contract.
Yeah.
And this moment has been already set in time. So we need to allow ourselves to make the max of whatever we can. And always look at the positive.
Sharon Tyler, I honour and respect you. Thank you very much for
respect you
coming
too.
on. It's beautiful, and I feel for you for that journey. But I'm so glad that we've got people like you alive, and you'll be so valuable in our new normal COVID world. And viewers, thank you very much. I love you. Love and best wishes. Whatever
Thank
you
you
go
so
through,
much.
we're going to be okay because Sharon told me. We'll see you next week. All the very best.
Thank you.